Islam. Welcome back to the Moor Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Brother Edwards Bey. We're here with special guests, Brother Hamin L.
Yes.
We have the Grand Governor, J. Howard Bey, Islam.
Peace.
And definitely before we go too far, I want to greet everybody with peace, Islam, Assalamu alaikum, Hotep, Alafia, Ayonio, Rahu Bat, peace, whatever greetings, feels right for you. And also we're going to start with praises and honors. That is what we're definitely doing in our episodes now. I want to make sure we start praises and honors in true Moors fashion, Moors culture. I'll start and when the rise and give all praises to Allah, high honors to the Prophet Noble Ali, high honors to the forerunner Marcus Messiah Garvey, high honors to all past and present leadership of the Moorish Science Temple of America, high honors to all true and holy divine prophets of Allah that stand on the square of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. High honors to all of our ancestors, known and unknown. Islam. I'm going to give you praises and honors real quick, Baba.
Ashe, you said it all.
Islam. Grand Governor.
Yeah, as always, I want to give honors to you, the viewer, because without you watching, of course, and listening to us as we get this out tonight, we won't be going too far. So every viewer, sometimes a lot of people are trying to catch it while it's live. A lot of times we see a lot of you are watching it when it's not live. So we appreciate you all. We want to appreciate our guest, special guest, Brother Baba, and all his knowledge. So I'm just excited, again, as I'm always excited. Anytime a guest come, sit with us and share a little piece of information, give us some jewels, on camera and off camera. That's just some of the treasures that we get. So I say peace and thank you for watching.
Islam. So we'll get right into it. I glad we're here. We've met years ago, Baba. I don't know if you probably don't remember, but when you had the shop on on 9th, yeah. There was one knowledge you dropped on me that always stuck with me. It was the first time I ever heard this spoken this way, and I think I was buying shea butter from you. This is right in the beginning of my consciousness. And you're like, they sell us all these things for all these products, but in reality, you should be able to use the same thing for your skin as you do for your hair. And you told me that, and I was like, yeah, you're right. I never thought about that. And it's like all these products I started looking at like crazy. And I was like, you know what? I'm going all natural. I'm only going to use certain things, and I should be able to use the same thing on my skin that I do on my hair because they're made of the same thing. I'll never forget that jewel you gave me. That was like the first major jewel I got in consciousness. I'm not going to lie to you. But I didn't even know at the time you were an educator, a technologist,
Right.
Community activist, obviously, and a whole host of things. So let's go right into it, Baba Hamin. How do you describe yourself, and what kind of brung you to this point right here? Like, what are you most about?
Okay, that's a very good question. I start with my name, which kind of explains what I'm about, and I did want to pull out and just show the card. Bam, this is legal. This is not, something like people on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. And they got all these names, and I'm like, what is on your ID? That's who you are. Okay. And who you are also is how you act, how you behave, what are your priorities. So I'm gonna start with my name. My name, it was acquired, but it speaks to what I'm about. My name is Baba Al-Hajj Amir Abdul Latif Abu Hamin L. Now, the reason why that's so long, in the Department of Motor Vehicles and all that, be said, we can't put all that on. But Amir, because that means, like captain, the person who works with the commander, facilitates and makes things happen. So that's something that I earned, So in my educational process, what happened was I came out of school, and let me go back a little further. Education is my thing. That's what most people know me by, because I was uneducated. And so I didn't go, this first time I'm saying it out front, to the world. I didn't go to sixth, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. I didn't go to school.
Okay.
All right. So I wasn't school worthy. Coming out of New York, what I was doing. So, the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I tried to go high school, and they jerked me around with that. After a few months in high school, they threw me out for this and that, blah, blah, blah. So school wasn't my thing, so I went to the streets with what I learned, and this was during some revolutionary times, but I couldn't make up my mind. Did I want to go with the party? And y'all know what I'm talking about when I say,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do I want to go to the party? But there's this brother out in California talking this culture, which I can relate to that, So I hooked up with some of my buddies, the last poets, and they said, well, we into Islam. And I said, yeah, I became Muslim when I was 11 years old, and I said, my cousin came and dropped the jewel on me. And he said, hey, Jesus ain't God. And I said, ooh, you ain't supposed to say that.
Looking around like,
we gonna get in trouble.
Everybody checking my shirt out.
Right.
My shirt.
And so he had, and he was kind of, he was a little off it, but he was speaking on point. He said, there ain't but one God, and that God is black. And I was like, woo, what? That's what I'm talking about. And he started talking about the fraud in the church and this and that, blah, blah. I never went back to church again. My mother said, what is wrong with you? I said, because that white man ain't God. And she's like, oh, my God, you been talking to Alex? I said, wow. He said he met somebody. It was probably somebody from the Nation of Islam.
Of course.
And they schooled him. And so I never looked back after that. But in time, as when I finished doing my wilding years, and I couldn't step, the Nation, I liked what the Nation was saying. I liked what Malcolm was saying. Let me be clear. I like what Malcolm was saying, but the brother said I had to cut my fro, and I said, no, I'm not cutting my fro. I refuse. And they said, well, that's the only way you can be down. Oh, well, I guess I can't be down. You don't let your hair stop you from a movement? I said, I believe in what y'all about, but, and then when Malcolm, when they got off, it was like, it really hurt me. So I'm like, I don't know which way to go, So, I going with the party, and I peeked things that happened with the party, and I'm like, y'all talk that, but when it came down, there's only a few people that really was going strong and being for real, and so, and y'all being, and when Hoover declared war on the party and started, bumping people off, and everybody started running, and I was like, that ain't, I ain't with the running thing, so, and, I thought we was going to, form a line in defense and let's fight back.
Stand 10 toes down.
And it really didn't happen that way. So the brothers, Jalaluddin and, some of the brothers from the last poets, and they said, well, we Muslim. And I said, I see y'all got afros and locks and stuff, so you ain't the Nation, obviously. And he said, well, come over to, and we're going to turn you on to it. And I was turned off. I went to State Street, and I don't know if you heard of State Street Mosque. Anyhow, State Street Mosque was Imam Dawood. He was a famous Sheikh Dawood. He converted a lot of brothers, into Islam. It was Orthodox Islam, and so I kind of, and everybody, I heard about him, and I said he didn't say nothing too black at all. And so, but I don't get it. Why y'all attracted to it? He said, because they're kicking the truth. And so from that, he said, I'm going to let you meet some of the brotherhood who came out of there. All right? So that was the Dar Islamic movement. The Dar Islamic movement, I said, look, you got a red, black, and green flag out there with some letters all over it. And okay. And so I met these brothers, and I started hanging with them. I said, I can get with this. And so then I took my Shahada, and at that time, I didn't know really what the Shahada meant. Like most people don't. They have no idea, and it's like, so I did that, and next thing you know, they recruited me into school, and, the madrasas and this and that, and they saw that, I was pretty efficient at what I was doing. And then later I went, by the grace of the ancestors and whoever's in charge, I went to Hajj, all right? And it was because I went to Hajj, I had to come back and apologize to some brothers I know who weren't down with it that way. And I said, one was my brother-in-law, who, Rahubat. And so Isa said, I told you. I said, wow, I didn't know. La ilaha illallah. There's no God but Allah. That's the Shahada. There is nothing else after that. Allah says in the Quran, there's only said twice in the Quran. And so when I read it for myself, and the Shiites was hipping me to it, you know, and I'm trying to pray with them. I'm inside in Masjid Haram, you know, we sit down and touch your hood, you know, I tell you, what they're about to say, you know, and they go, so I said, how can y'all say it that fast? And I said, why do y'all must, let me hear you say it out loud. And he said it. I tell you, salawatu wa tayyibatu, assalamu alayna ayyuhu alabihi rahmatullahi barakatuh, assalamu alayhi ibadi salihin ashhadu. He said, don't say that. I said, I didn't get the whole shahada. He said, you gonna say Muhammad? And I said, yeah. He said, that's not the shahada. Where you get that from? And I said, that's what the shahada is. He said, show it to me. I don't know. And he said, you want to see it? There's a shahada. The witnessing of Allah, the shahada of Allah. All right, don't come at me. I stay strapped. Now, come on. But anyhow.
Before this smoke, brother, hey, let me put this out here. We had a last show, and I've been getting some good feedback. So I'm just going to say, the panel is here. We don't know what they're going to say. I'm doing like Brother Martin. We don't know what he's going to say, but we support it.
So the vibe is, when I came back from Mecca, I changed my whole Islam changed, because I found out what true Islam was. And I said, I didn't know. That means my brothers are, I can't say they're wrong. And I was like, but I can't do it anymore. It's not right. And it's like, nobody want to hear it, because I'm running with a crew, the Islamic crew of America, the Dar Islamic movement. Everybody knows they were gangsters, you know. And so we fought the police, we this and that, blah, 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 blah. And so, you know, the imam at the time, years later, 10 years later, 15 years later, was Imam Jamil. Jamil got down, you know, y'all know him as what? Imam Jamil. H. Rat Brown. All right.
Rat Brown.
So when Imam Jamil got down, I was like, okay, he's going to bring us back around. He didn't. He stayed with the old school.
Wow.
And so because I know my brothers, I love my Muslim brotherhood, and they're sincere. But I can't, as long as I read in the Quran, the Shahada, and as long as I see, y'all know Fatiha, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a chop. It's from different places. Different pieces.
Okay.
Take it made one come.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the day of judgment, King of the day of acquittal. Thee do we serve. Thee do we seek thy aid. Show us the what?
Way.
Straight path. The path of those who have earned thy righteousness, not the path of those who go astray. He's talking about Sunnis.
Mm-hmm.
Prophet Muhammad, it says clearly, Allah says in the Quran, do not mention any other name with Allah. Do not. He says the witnessing, the witnessing of Allah, the Shahada of Allah is there, and the angels and men of knowledge is there's no God but Allah. Period. There's no Muhammad in that. Throughout the Quran, it said, do not associate with Allah. So where do you get the Muhammad or Rasulullah? Arabs.
Yeah, chopped up, put together in a conglomerate.
And I understand in their history, they were nobody. They were nobody until the prophet came along, and they got a chance to be somebody in history. And so when I said it to some brothers, they said, what, it says in the Hadith? Hadith? Is that something from Allah? But it's Hadith Qudsi. Is that the Quran? Allah says, do not choose any other book but Allah. And so I said, okay, I'm not mad at you. I understand. Y'all my brothers. I'm with you. But I can't do what you're doing. I cannot put a man in front of worship. Mustafa Muhammad, you know, he was a good guy. But all what they said about him, you know, it's like, it's Hadith, that Hadith. And so at one point, brother said, y'all want some Hadiths? I got all of them. I got all of them. Sahih Muslim, Tirmidhi, I got them all. Y'all want them? You can have them. I can't use them. And so the brother said, he said, you got that? And, I said, yeah. And he said, that's blasphemy. You should be studying from it. I said, but you keep saying it's true. I said, listen to this hadith. Do you believe in, and I named the number one hadith. And they said, yeah, okay. Here's a hadith that said in that book. They were fighting in this major battle. And, you fight on for a few days. You go back and rest. You rest up, wash up, get a little cat eye, and grab your spear and go back out and sword and fight some more. They was treacherous doing those days. Mm-hmm. Two brothers came back in. They was tired. They'd been fighting for about 7-8 hours. They came back in. They said, and he looked over there and said, what you say? This is hadith. Hadith Qudsi. Holy hadith. There's some of the girls we captured. What say we go there and knock them off? I'm using street language. Mm-hmm. He said, I don't know if that's correct. He said, ask the prophet. He turned to the prophet. Is it okay? He said, okay. And they began copulating with these slaves they captured. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the prophet was sitting there right there with them. Mm-hmm. So I asked the brothers, I said, y'all said that the whole book is true. Is that true? The prophet, our prophet, was sitting there while y'all were bumping off people? Come on now. That's not my prophet. He wouldn't even allow that. So more or less be sitting there going, oh, that's a nice move. Okay. And it's like, come on now. And I can come with a lot of them. So I said, I cannot no longer support hadith because that's from men. Now, in terms of the Quran revealed to the prophet, I believe it.
I wanted to just tap in.
Please do.
And this is wonderful. Thank you for sharing all that you've done so far. But I just want to speak on hadith. Even in the Moor Science Temple of America, and those who are not familiar with hadith is just the sayings of a prophet, like, compilation of sayings of a prophet. So in the Moor Science Temple of America, there's such a thing as a hadith of the prophet. And I'm just like you. I don't take all of them as to say this is what my prophet stand for. I just wanted to say that. I mean, not take away this is your night. I want to hear more about, where you come from and what you have going, but more so I feel that same way. Right. Some of the same hadiths that's for the Obadru Ali. So
right,
1000%.
And I've read some hadiths. When the two brothers, some of the brothers in the Moor Science Temple flow with this particular brother, and some flow with this particular brother, all based on hearsay. Yeah. So I say my brotherhood or Moors. I'm an ominous. As an ominous, I support the concept that there's a creator. Name. Yeah. It does. I'm not into that.
We ain't arguing that.
Doesn't matter.
I like the Arabic word, the God, the Supreme.
Islam.
Kuhu Allahu Ahad. He's one. All right. So I like the Ife. They talk about the Supreme. I love the Hebrew way they call their God Yahweh, which that is an awesome thing. They don't have Yahweh. I was, I am, and I shall always be. Now find something in the universe like that. Something that is, was, and always gonna be. Well, and I
hey, you know what I'm going, right? What the question says. Y'all know, y'all most Americans know what I'm about to say.
So so I understand, and us in our journeys, we have to come up with some order, and so I understand and that. In the millenniums that we've been on this earth, it's all started in Africa, as we know, and the focus is on Kemet. But Kemet wasn't the original. It starts all the way down in South Africa as the original. Even science say that, the oldest living being. They talk about Lucy up there, halfway up there,
It wasn't Central Africa? It was South?
Yeah. Matter of fact, they finally just came to the conclusion, the ones... I don't know what you call them. They're not pygmies.
Okay.
But they got this Oriental kind of look.
Sans?
Yes.
The sand.
Yes, the sand people.
Yeah.
They were the original. Mm-hmm. They spread out over the earth.
Yeah.
And then climates change and this and that, blah, blah, blah. The culture stayed, the cultures just various according to the land and everything else. So understanding that every group of people has their understanding. The Greeks that had their understanding of the Creator, but they had to put the politics in it.
Yeah.
I don't know any African religion that put the politics in it, but clearly the Greeks put, that was a power grab, and with the whole Yeshua thing, and when one reason why I'm very cautious about what I say about religion, one day I was walking out in the hood, coming from my house. I was a block away from my house. I was heading to the train station. I passed some teenage thugs on the corner. Sometimes I speak to them, sometimes I don't. But I was in a hurry. I just kept walking. He said, "Yo, G, what's up?" And I turned around and looked at about 8 of them. And I looked through each face and I said, "Who you talking to? Who's talking?" And he said, "Yo, me." And I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "Man, you don't remember? I was in your house." And I said, "You was my son or something? Y'all about the same age, but you know my son?" He said, "No, I wasn't in it for your son." He said, "I know your son smoked." I said, "Okay. Why was you in my house?" He said, "Me, my mother, my aunt, and my neighbor. We came to your house." I said, "Why would you come to my house?" He said, "Because you let us come in." I said, "Jehovah's Witness." And he said, "Yo, that's right, you remember." I said, "You was the little boy that was about 7 or 8 years old." He said, "Yeah, you saved me. I just want to tell you, brother, thank you for saving me." I said, "Oh, my God."
But he on the corner, though.
He's selling weed and everything else, drugs and cocaine. I said, "Brother, I lied to you. I was just playing games. I lied. Everything I said in there was a lie." He said, "You tore that Bible up." I said, "No, I was all wrong. I was just having fun." I said, "It was all made up. You need to go back with
Jesus. You need Jesus, boy."
Yeah. You need go back to your mama. Your mama had you on the right path. I remember you had a little bow tie on, bro.
That's funny.
So I said, "Now look at you." And I said,
man.
"Oh my God." He said, "No, man, you saved me, man. You saved me." I said, "Oh my God, I feel so bad. I would never
You
do
should call
that."
him mama and say, "I'm sorry."
Tore him up. He
Sorry,
tore him up.
man.
He's like, "Yeah, rebellious ever since."
Right. And so, and he said from that day forward, he said he never came back in what they call it, the temple or whatever.
Yeah, I don't even think the Kingdom Hall.
Kingdom Hall. And so I said, "Wow, that was wrong of me." My wife used to say things, they ring the bell. She said, "Please don't do it." I said, "No, I'm going to have some fun, and come on in,
Good
sit
Saturday.
down." Which Bible we going to use? I got 4 of them. Which one is yours?
Yeah.
I got yours too. Let's go into it. And that was because I was such a zealot. I want to show off my skills of knowledge, this and that. I beat them down. They get nervous and they say, "All right, we just want to leave you this." I said, "Wait a minute, I got some dawah sheets for you too." And no, we can't not allowed. Oh, that's right, you're not allowed to take nobody's information but yours. And I said, "Because you're not allowed. Are y'all allowed to be charged yet? Since your founder was a racist?"
Wow, you heard him. You heard him.
No.
So
Oh, that's wrong. I'm sorry. That's
and
Mormon.
so that was the day I learned: don't knock nobody else's stuff. Don't beat them down. That's up to them. So when I say I'm one who appreciates anybody who is striving for the higher path.
Exactly.
The other just this world. And I even talk about the Revolutionary Brothers or the Pan-African Revolutionary Brothers. I know y'all don't want to mention there's a deity, and maybe you're right. I don't know. I recognize it, and I don't knock anybody who don't recognize it. That's on you. And maybe one day you can. Maybe you think you created yourself. I don't know, but whatever you have some kind of philosophy. So my brotherhood, or the Moors and the Sunni Muslims, the Shiite Muslim, I have to give the Shiites because they were correct in their knowledge. When I was in Mecca, brother said, "Thank God, man." He said, "For your people." And I said, "Why you say that?" He said, "We wouldn't be here in Hajj. There wouldn't be no Hajj. It's named after your ancestor. And I said, right. I said, Hajj, Hajjah, and Abraham's wife.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that. And they said, yeah. And all these things around here represent what she went through. And I said, I can't do it. And he said, yes, you can. I said, I can't. This is paganism. I'm not going to run around a rock. I'm not. But they said, you got to. It's one of the Kaaba. And I was like, oh, my God. And there's a big Sudanese brother who was like a super football player. He kept saying to me every time I passed by, he said, and he was yelling Arabic. And I was like, who are you talking to? And he said, you? He's talking to you. And I said, I made my way through the crowd. He picked me up, sat me down in front of him.
He's that strong.
It's one of the little.
And I said, what? Did I do something wrong? And he said, and he didn't know English, And so that's how I learned Arabic. Because being over there, I couldn't even find a bathroom. Because if you speak English, we don't even talk to you. He pointed at his stomach, and he pointed at mine. He said, and I said, what? I had my money belt wrapped around my waist. He said, no, put it under your robe. And I said, what difference does it make? And he said, look, I saw a bunch of teenagers in the crowd going through there with scissors.
Oh, snaps, man.
In the Hajj.
Yeah, robbing people. I've heard of that instance.
I never knew
I've
they
heard
were
of
robbing
instances
people at the
like that.
Kaaba.
And in the Kaaba.
I've heard of instances
And I
like
saw
that.
him, and to me, it looked like New York. I said, look like some New Yorkers up in there. So,
Lil Sharif ain't tell us that.
and he
was
said,
robbing people.
and I put my over, and he said, yeah. And then he rather than pick me up and set me back, he pushed me back. but he didn't mean no harm. They're just rough like that.
Yeah.
And so I said, I cannot worship rocks. When I came back in the United States, everybody said, how was the Hajj? I said, I can't worship rocks. That's it. I can't do it. They said, you was worshiping rock. I said, first thing you go, the Kaaba. What do you think the Kaaba is? It's a rock. I'm not going to, I said, there's no God but Allah. Hey, that's a rock. And they will kill you over touching the rock. And then they said, get some Zamzam water. They're fighting over it. It's a gang fight over there. Mm-hmm. They're killing each other. They be able to get some water.
For the Zamzam water.
It's a Zamzam water. I said, I can't.
Recently I've heard that it was a company that kind of took over the Zamzam water.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Yeah.
A lot of people died over that water. And I had to save old ladies and women who got trampled to death in the Kaaba. And then the next day they said, all right, we got to go out to the desert. What are we going to do out there? We got to go to Mount so-and-so. What are we going to do there? That's a rock. That's another rock? So I said, so we stayed out there in the desert with a rock, and they said, now we got to go back. We got to stop at the Muzdalifah. Okay, why we stop there? We got to stone Shaitan.
Yeah, throwing rocks.
Throwing rocks. So he said, the brother that was from Sudan, he said, you got to do it right. As we go back, pick up your rocks, find some rocks, and put them in your pouch. So you don't have to do that. Look for them. I said, okay. I collected my 19 rocks. I did it right. Rocks like this. Mm-hmm. And we got there, and I seen thousands of people. And there was a bigger rock, and a huge rock. And I said, and they're just screaming and yelling, and throwing it. And the brother said, you can kiss the stone and just throw it, but it's good to see if it hits Shaitan. Those are Shaitans. I said, that's Shaitan? That rock?
Those rocks.
He said, make sure you get that big Shaitan too. Y'all believe that's, what? Wow. What kind of Islam is this? And so I said, I want to get close because I want to do my Hajj, right? I started getting close, and I was getting pelted with rocks, right? So I got somewhat close, about, say, for as long as this room, and it was thousands of people in front of me. And I was like, Bismillah. Pew, pew, pew.
Tossing the rocks.
And then we got to go back into Mecca and run around another rock. And I said, that's it. I'm done. This is the Arab custom before Muhammad. The rocks, worshiping the rocks. And they were bandits. That's all they were bandits. And they earned their money. If you cutting through going to India,
going to the caravan.
hey, how many camels you got? You got 30 camels. You want to give up 2 of them? Here. I got a guard for you. Here's $10,000. I give you a guard to go with you, which is a pass, and nobody gonna bother you.
Yeah, that's if you either submit to the will of Allah,
right,
or give up a token.
right.
So most of people couldn't afford
Right.
the grace of Allah.
So I changed my way, and some of the brothers in the Darl, they started noticing it, and I was like, I can't get with certain things, man. I just can't. And then I met with other brothers who was down. They said, it's everywhere. And I said, what do you mean? He said, go in any masjid. There's shirk, associated partners with Allah. Go in the masjid and you'll see. Open your eyes. And I said, it is everywhere. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. And I said, I understand why the Arabs put the Muhammad in there. Because they were nothing until that time. So anyhow, what I'm about in terms of Islam, people say you're Muslim. I'm about peace.
That's it.
Do you believe in the Quran? Yes. But they don't. They don't believe in it. So, but I do. I said it tells the story of that particular culture. Now, we got other problems. We got problems here with our people being destroyed, having their minds destroyed and don't know it. So when we used to call in Islam dawah, you drop the knowledge on people, they be going, no, I don't want to hear it. Even those who don't believe in Jesus, they be saying, yeah, you trying to take out Jesus. That's white people Jesus. There might have been someone named Yeshua, but white people changed that, and so in our minds, we have this idea of, if you figure with the sister's concept of Yurugu. Yeah. The sister. All right. So I just lost her name just that quick. That's a thought system.
Yeah.
It's complete. That's white folks think differently. Some black folks don't. The majority of black folks think Yurugu thinking.
Yep.
I, me, that's it. That's what it's about. I and me. The opposite of in Afrocentric thought is Ubuntu. I am because we are. Or is like when my boys come in on Saturday, they come in, the greeting is Sawubona. I see you. The all of you. I don't just see just the physical, I see all of you, all what you about,
Islam.
And your ancestors and or your lineage. You're a complete person. And so we say Sawubona, and we use the word Ubuntu. I am because we are. To counter that thinking of I, me. It's a we. I am because we are. I don't exist. If it wasn't you, then if there wasn't nobody else, who am I? I'm nobody. I'm somebody through other people. And so we're trying to change not only children, all the children I meet, I'm gonna sit them down. We talk about, let's talk about Ubuntu, or the Nguzo Saba, just dealing with Dr. Maulana Karanga, master, the 7 principles, Moja, unity. Now, that's what I don't see here in Wilmington, in Garvey City. There's no unity. And people got beefs going back to when they was in kindergarten. I remember that time you pushed me in line. That's why I'm gonna shoot you. It's like it's like Umoja, Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Ujama. Let's put our money together and do something. And when speaking about the faults of our people, is because we're thinking not as a collective. And that's what Dr. Karanga put down. We got to think about the community, as opposed to just me. It's not about me, it's about us. So to change that thinking system has to start. That's the kind of education either parents are doing it at home, which they're not, or some program outside of school can do it for, change their thinking system. And so, and our problem is NAACP do not support Nation of Islam. Now, the Million Man March, which I spoke about online, I said, do y'all realize? I said, we was down there, and I was with the Brotherhood, all the Brotherhoods, the Moors, all of us was down there. And we was like feeling really good. And then when Minister Farrakhan got to that part, and it was 1 million brothers take a shahada. And we all looked at each other. They said, did you hear what he just said? He said, I was say after me. And he recited the shahada. There's no God but God. And 1 million people, no God but God. I said, oh my God, that has never been done before in the history of mankind. 1 million black people, people, period. Brother Muhammad never converted 1 million people at one time. And so I said, wow, that's amazing. Now, I said the only thing where it's not the Shahada, technically, because they didn't, he didn't break down. I said, now you're all Muslim. He didn't say that. But a Muslim is just one who submits.
Yeah. That day definitely there was at least 1 million Muslims.
Yeah. It was a
DC.
million, and it didn't leave not one piece of paper on the ground. It was cleaned up. The Nation Brotherhood got there, cleaned that up. It was like better than what leave it better than what you found it. And so it's those kinds of things that we, like in Delaware, I can only speak about Delaware now. I'm focusing on Delaware. What does Delaware have? When I came here, there is no group, none wanted to start a school. Nobody. So how are we going to continue what you're preaching? What's your ideology, your philosophy? How does it continue if you don't pass it?
Yeah.
And even I spoke to one sister. She was running the Kwanzaa things every year, and it drive her crazy trying to get 7 days worth of activities and that blah blah. And half of the crew she worked with were Christians. That's okay. That's good. And they started having Kwanzaa in church. And I said, no. And at one meeting, I said, I'm forever speaking out on stuff. I got to learn how to hold hold back. I said, Dr. Malana Karanga, who I know personally from my brother-in-law, his manager, you cannot hold a Kwanzaa inside any religious institution. Like, I said, what if I hold Kwanzaa in the mosque? Y'all coming? Nation of Islam. Y'all coming up to the Nation of Islam plate? Y'all want to come in the masjid for a Kwanzaa? No, y'all will be offended. Why do we have to go to church? And so they kicked me out of the Kwanzaa council. They said, So I said, I'm just telling you what Dr. Malana Karanga said. It should be a separate entity or have it in your house, but you can't have it in a church or synagogue, or even a masjid. That's offensive.
It's universal.
It's universal, open to everybody. And self-determination, Kujijakaliya, self-determination. Why are you going to other people? This is self-determined. This building, this space is you doing for yourself. And it's like, that's what it's about, with the ultimate goal of total ownership, but you got to, and so it's like we have not been educated, and that's what my last part of my life is about.
Go ahead, yes.
So I'm going back to the title of resistance via education, and that's basically the kind of what we're talking about. And so how does that look? I mean, you mentioned Islam. You mentioned that you also mentioned different principles that seem more Afrocentric that you're using in your education. How does resistance look in your education?
Okay, resistance first is changing the thought. Like Sister Ani says, it's like we got to think different. We got to accept the fact, that our mindset is still of a slave mentality.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be presented in the nicest and the kindest of ways to people, because people don't want to,
Yeah, they don't want to hear that.
They don't really want to hear it, so you got to present them. And it's like, okay, so we have
So
made
true.
some accomplishments. We have. It's fantastic with some of the accomplishments we made, but has it changed our condition?
Mm-hmm.
We accomplished. I remember. I recall when I think about the professionals who got the money, and refer to school. We must be able to do for self. Schooling and education included. All right. So the first choice is, where's our school? Where is a school that we develop the curriculum, we determine the priorities, and let's do that. Throughout the United States, I can name on one hand the institutions. Why? Because it takes money. How do you get the money? Ujima, Ujama, collective working responsibility. Put your money together. All right. That's how we got our first building in New York. We lost it, because we didn't know what we were doing, what we was up against, So, we got this very expensive building. We put up our houses on it, and that's because we believed in it. My school had 22 children. The other school had something like a little less than, because some of their children came over to my school. So we were looking at 30-something children.
Wow.
But then that changed real quick, because the word spread. We got this get this building with an elevator and 3 floors, big. So then the enrollment went from 20 to 30 kids up to 90. We had all these classrooms, and I just give you a little so you understand. Who teaches for free? We do have a mortgage to pay. So Umar said, no, there ain't gonna be no tuition. So how are you gonna run the school? So we as a people cannot afford to pay tuition. We can't. So we charging tuition. People, that was our downfall. Certain things I cannot say publicly, but we did everything we could do to help people who are making $15,000 to $20,000 a year. That's their salary.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna ask you to pay $400 a month.
Yeah.
That's killing them.
Yeah.
Oh, I bear witness.
That's killing them.
I bear witness.
And so I took a leave of absence because my brother-in-law was at NYU, and I said, we ain't getting paid half the time. I got a family too. I got a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And I got to feed these kids. It's like my wives are, they're teaching. We all teaching free, just about. And then one day, after a holiday break, I came back and asked you the question. Okay, class, what y'all do on your break? I did this. I did that. I got this. That was a Christmas story? Okay. But one said, I went to Disneyland. And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean, Disneyland?
You can't pay tuition. We ain't paying tuition, but you're sure spending
I went to the intercom.
a couple grand to go to Disney.
I said, Sister S, the Jackson family, are they up on tuition? She said, not since November.
They got the ears, though. Them
they
ears
just-
are expensive.
They just got back from Florida. They went to Disney World or wherever it is in Florida. And she said, what? And I said, yeah. And we still ain't getting paid. And I'm going to foreclose on my house so soon. We got, she said. I said, I need to go. I need to take off for about 2 months. I got to go hustle. All right? I'm telling you the truth. I can't lose my house. She said, all right, we're going to combine classes together. So I went out, and in my looking for hustle, my brother-in-law, he said, they're hiring at NYU. And I said, really? As what? He said, it's an office job. I said, doing what? He said, you got all the office skills. Just go get it. I said, okay. It was the campaign office.
Mm.
I was like, what's the campaign office? They said, well, we're the ones that collect the money for the school. I want to know how y'all do that.
Yeah.
How do you do that? I found out from working in that office, I quit at a certain point. I said, I found the answer.
got it. I'm out of here. I quit.
And it's like, you don't support a school on tuition? That's not it. That's why we failing. All black schools failing. You expect parents, unless you charging real fees, like $12,000 a year or something like that.
Yeah.
If you ain't charging that,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to pay your bills. So, and I came back out and I called a meeting with all the teachers, schools. We had a meeting. I said, I got the answer. Here's the answer: endowments, not tuition. Tuition pays for the janitor. It pays for the equipment maybe. No, it don't pay teachers' salary. Endowments are what people pledge a certain amount of money every year. Mm-hmm. And my job at NYU was contacting the graduates saying, it's tax season coming.
Yeah,
Let us get your taxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they would drop $20,000, $15,000. And so in the end of that campaign time, up in April when it's all over, they got the next 2 years paid for.
Yeah.
So they know what their budget is. They know what they can do. And I said, so we got to go into business, not tuition. And so we started a food business.
Okay.
Free lunch program, this and that with the government. And so then our school started moving up. We started getting paid. But people are still trying to survive off of tuition. Tuition can't do nothing but pay for janitorial services.
Islam.
So anyhow. But
Yeah.
so when in answer to your question, which was
you said it. I mean, how does resistance look in education?
Resistance looks at it gets to the point where if you change a person's thinking, parents, and they start seeing the reality of our condition, how they say in Islam, Allah would not change the condition of people until they what? Change the condition of their own souls. Yeah. Change your mental. And now you'll be able to do something better. It is, as I say with rites of passage, the parents. Is it okay that your children don't learn history of themselves in school? Is that okay? Is it okay that boys, especially, because I went through it as a child, are turned off to school? They don't see any viable success in school. They're not being successful. And so because they just shut down and they can't wait to drop out. I've had fourth graders tell me, I can't wait till I'm 16. Why? So I can quit going to school?
Yeah.
Because you're not being successful. Because and nobody's here trying to help you be successful. It's not that just dumb or stupid, but as I noticed in Kumba, I can't say that. In one of the schools I taught, and I monitored kindergartners, and I watched the girls. The boys were in kindergarten were ahead of the girls intellectually. In first grade, the girls came up real close to them. In second grade, it was obvious the girls were ahead of them. And I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
The teachers shut brothers down early on, and go to the office, do that, da-da-da. And so, and what happens that, you don't get, they don't feel good about school, and it just gets worse.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a point where it just makes common sense to them, somewhere around 6th, 7th grade. I'm sick of school. Mm-hmm. I'm not being successful. I can't see myself graduating. I'm nobody. And that's what I said. So parents, is it okay that somebody from another culture is teaching your child white ethnocentrism?
Yeah.
All right. I can ask any child. You can bring any child in here right now, and I ask them one question, and they're definitely going to get it wrong, because it's a different thought system. Do it for yourselves. Ask any child, just out of curiosity, not like if, whatever the answer is, you make them feel good about it. What is success? What do you think the answer is? They're going to tell you.
What's that?
Get a good job. Wrong. Wrong. But I never tell them that.
Yeah.
I remember at the school that I was working at, they said, "Are you taking polls with the children?" I said,
They used to back in the day.
I said,
Yeah.
Well, that one poll, we were trying to determine, it was for something else. I did, you heard about the doll experiment?
Of course.
I did it in my class. Mr. Hamin, come to the class, come to the office. You're experimenting on the kids? No, I'm trying to see where they're at. And I just asked them, pick up the good doll. And they pick up the white doll. I said, okay, that's very good. Next, pick up the doll, the white doll. Psychologically, white is better in their mind. They're not being taught entrepreneurship, doing for yourself, self-determination. Go get a good job. With who?
Yeah.
Who are you getting a job with?
Keep the system running. Keep us rich. Yeah.
Right. And so we stay at the bottom.
Yeah.
And so we don't even, now they're just starting to get the idea children need classes in entrepreneurship. In our Rights of Passage program, they have to go through a literacy program, financial literacy. They have to understand the terms. What is the purpose of money? What is money? What is the purpose of it? What do you do with it? How can you use it to your advantage? What do you need to do? So when I turn the kids over to their parents in the summer, I have a big list of stuff that parents got to do with them. Open up a bank account. I don't care if they're 10 years old, 11 years old. They can need a bank account. And they need to invest their money. They can either invest it and start hustling. I said, I know y'all don't want them out there selling water on the street corner. My kid might, but I'm not saying that for y'all.
Yeah.
But bake some cookies and sell them.
Something.
Do something after your service, whatever you about, wherever you go. Have your kids sitting down and say, "Here's my table."
Yeah.
So they took the hustle out of them.
Took the hustle out of us. Period. Yeah. We won't hustle, brothers. They come home from time. Like I tried to get I should do a lawsuit to them. The Ferris School.
Yeah.
In my mind, I said, if I got enough, I'm just too old to do this. But my revolutionary spirit, I said, I should sue them. That's why I should sue the Ferris School.
What happened?
They lied. It's not a school. And a good lawyer can get them out of this. But he's like, can you show evidence of you teaching these children anything, these youth, these wayward youth? Have you taught, do they have English class, math class, sociology class? What classes do they get? I learned in those schools, I learned how to steal a car. I didn't know how to, I know brothers stole cars, but I didn't know how to do it until I went to the youth house. And they said, it's easy. You go on the dashboard, pick this wire, pick that wire. And I learned how to pick pockets. I learned how to do all this kind of stuff. So when I came home, I said, I'm ready. I can hustle now. The wrong hustle. So when we say to our children, my children, I'm just lucky because I put the work in also.
That don't sound like luck to me, man.
Yeah, well, it's like when I said, go, y'all. Matter of fact, you ain't got to go stay and help. They said, no, we want to go. And I'm like, stay here and help me. No, we got to go for ourselves. I get you. They're professionals. My children are professionals. They got their own businesses. And so it wasn't a shock to me when they start doing it. I'm like, when my son came to me, he said, I can't do this, what I've been doing. I said, what should you be doing? He said, I want to drive a truck. And I said, what's stopping you? He said, man, I said, cut your friends loose. Start with that. Your boys. What do they try to do? Nothing. So he said, it's hard. When you got your record get kind of thick, it's kind of hard to get a job. And I said, go work for free.
Wow.
My son said, Abu. I said, I'm serious. What do you know how to do? If you go to a college, who pays who? Do they pay you to come there? No, you pay them. Why? Because they're giving you something. If you go work for somebody, you don't know nothing about nothing.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you'll get a job just like that. Say, can I work for free for you?
Yeah.
And he said, I can't imagine it. I said, try it. Trust me, I know human nature a little bit.
Yeah.
I might say, yeah, you can help me on my truck. After I said, make sure you're there before he get there. And
Yeah,
leave after he leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I said, after a week, I'm guilty. I was like, man.
Here, take a little something.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you can went to the store. Here's just for yourself. You know,
Right.
have a good weekend.
And,
I
and,
get you.
and when always be
So that's
dependable.
the lessons we missing.
And
though.
I said, now
Lessons
it's going,
we
it's, and out of the goodness of that man's heart, he's going to say, and he did that. And for he only worked for 2 weeks, and the guy wouldn't let him go for free. He kept giving him money.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he said, what? Do you have a license? He said, I'm on parole. He said, who's your parole officer? I'm going to speak to him.
Mm-hmm.
Got him to get his license.
Look
Da,
at
da,
that.
da, da, da.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, he said, I'm going to get another truck. You going to drive it. And next thing my son is, he driving.
Yeah.
You know, and now he's big time. You know, and then after a couple of years, he said, Abu, I want my own business. And I said, have you been studying? He said, yeah. I said, you sure? There's a whole lot to that business. There's a whole lot. He said, I'm ready. And he got when he said, come on to Newark, I want to show you. He said, that's my rig, man.
Wow.
You know, so, and it's like, and it's ballooned. I'm not just bragging on him.
That's awesome.
But it's what I tell people, if you don't have any skills and you're not willing to go to school to learn, and when I say in terms of parents, what do you expect out of your children? Their rites of passage is high school. Really? Are they men and women? You know, I got some adopted daughters here in Delaware. You know, I'm their Abu. I'm the one that advises them, this and that, blah, blah, blah. You know, when you meet a guy, ask him a question. What's your 7-year plan? If he goes, run, because he don't have one. Mm-hmm. Keep going. He got no plan. He's looking at you, hoping to get there. No, he's got to be working on it. If a guy ain't working on it, don't waste your time. You got to be working on something, and no matter what it sounds like, he's got to be working. Or even, this is my plan. I'm gonna do this. A, B. One person that she came to me. She said, "I want you to meet him." And I said, "Okay. Where you live?" And he said, "Pennsylvania." Okay. Got your own spot? He said, "I share it." That makes sense. With who? Some cousins. Cousins? You're homeless. Okay, so we got that. So where do you work? With the fire department. You took the test already? He said, a test? Bro.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, you know, you got game. You know, in Africa, when my time in Africa, I seen it, 14, 15-year-old boy prepared for marriage, fully prepared. Why? He was out there gathering wood, building a house. He'd been working on a house for about a year.
Wow.
Because you can't get married without that. You know, that's part of that. That's part of your training. You know, it's like you got to be responsible. Are you, you know, like one brother told me, he said, "Could you help me out?" And I said, "Help you out doing what?" Because I don't have no money. Go fish, catch some fish and sell them. You can always make money. There's a brother told me, he said, from Africa, he said, "What's wrong with Black Americans?" I said, "I don't know. What do you mean?" He said, "They got all this money here. How come they ain't getting it?" Good question. Good question. They've been taught not to get it. That's we've been taught to somebody give it to us, you know.
Yeah.
And here, take the education. If there's a price to pay with the parents, you just sold your kid. Your kid is going to be a slave for the rest of their life. They'll never think for themselves. They'll never do for themselves. But however, and they're not going to be giving back. Every successful African American says success is getting out of the hood. What? That's not why we sending you to school to run away.
For real.
we need you here. You know, and what can you do? One of my students I saw in the printing place, FedEx, and she said, Mr. Hamin. And I was like, okay. And I'm going to go through my acting part. Hey, I wonder who she is. And I don't know. She said, I was in your class. And I was like, she's a grown woman. I don't know who this woman is. So, but all my students, they remember me because of certain things I taught them their parents weren't teaching them. Mm-hmm. And when this particular school said, from now on, it's the end of the year for the new contract, you got to cut back on the Afrocentricity thing. Mm-hmm. And I said, I knew that was coming. When the governor gave me that reward, I said, they already realized he got to go. Mm-hmm. He's turning them a different direction. Mm-hmm. And so when he got ready to take the picture, he even admitted it. He said, well, I'm taking the picture with him. And he said, where's that school at? What? Mm. I said, cool. Well, I can't say it on camera. So I said, in town. He said, oh, those kids. Mm. And I said, yeah, because they're smarter than the other kids.
That's so fast.
So, and I smiled at the camera. In that picture, I can show it to you now. He's looking like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Mm-hmm. You know, those kids. Mm-hmm. You know, you didn't think they were capable of. When they did an evaluation of my program, they sent all these people from the state. See what this guy's doing. And about 6 of them, all these state people. And they had to tell me about it ahead of time. And I said, okay, I'll prepare for it. Now, I've taught in other kind of schools where the state come and do evaluation, like the one over in Newark. It was an alternative school. They said, the state's coming. I'm going to tell you alternative school first, then I'm going to tell you about the other school. At the alternative school, they said, just keep them in the classroom. Don't try to teach them nothing because they ain't trying to learn nothing. Mm-hmm. And I said,
wow.
Okay. So about 3 weeks later, the head of the program, she came by and she said, what are they doing? They doing work in here. And I said, they're having fun. Yeah, they doing work. They're doing research. She said, those? And I said, yeah. Mm. They're trying to find out who got the dirtiest disease. And they loved it, and they want pictures. Mm. So I said, I showed them how to do it. Yeah. And so she said, that's amazing. And so she said, you know, the people are going to come here and do a review. And I said, okay. And then the next day I had to say to her before the review came, I said, they want to hang their pictures in the hall.
All the little germs.
So and there was almost a fight. I got chlamydia. No, you ain't. You ain't taking my chlamydia. No, man. You said you had. They was a piece of work. So they wanted to hang. I said, I'll ask. And I asked, and she said, no. And I said, they did a lot of work. She said,
through the halls of that selected school, a bunch of chlamydia.
They had one had every disease you can think of, sexual disease.
Yes, sir.
They want. I don't like this gonorrhea picture. I want something bad. I want something with the big bubble bumpers. But they learned.
Yeah,
they were able to learn. So when the state came there, and they came in, I said, "Listen, let me tell you something. Don't be acting like a bunch of nuts up in here, all right? So just do your work. Don't say nothing to nobody, please." They said, all right, Mr. Hamin. I said, all right, cool. They came, and one boy said, Spanish kid, he said, Mr. Hamin, can you get the fuck out of the way? You blocking the board. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. And they went, and I'm like, what? He said, please.
They surprised that he wanted to see the board.
That's his vernacular. That's how he talked. He didn't insult me. He said, please. He gave me respect. Yeah. And they got up and walked out. And so then the next review I had with this other school that gave me this award and this thing. They had, with the kids, you know, they said, well, they want to see what they're doing. And since I knew ahead of time, my special group, I said, listen, they coming here. They trying to evaluate y'all. This is what I want you to do. I want you to team up with this person. Y'all work as a team. You work as a team. Y'all work as a team. from the time they walk in here. So they did, and I explained to them the program, and then they said, these state people, they had to say, and then they said, oh, okay, they're very, very busy. And I said, yeah, they got work to do. And he said, well, we're going now. I said, y'all ready? And they said, can you give me 5 more minutes? And they said, okay. And then one of the kids said, we're ready. And I said, okay. Could y'all sit back, turn the lights out, turn on the smart board, turn it on? And they did a movie on that particular office and for Department of Education and each one and what their role and what they was about. He's like, how did they do it? I said, they did it while y'all was talking.
Wow.
And we made CDs for everybody. At that time, it was CDs. So y'all can have a little gift of CD of what they made. And,
wow.
And so they said, oh my God, them white people walked out there. It's like, that's dangerous. It's dangerous. Education.
Yeah.
Education. And so, and they did newspapers and newsletters and they go there. So what I say, what the problem is with the parents. The parents are clueless. They're using schools as a rites of passage. They're not men, they're not women when they come out of there. They don't know, most of them.
Using it as a rites of passage, I think, is even giving them too much credit. To me, it seems like just a babysitting situation.
Rites of American
It's a babysitting situation?
Yeah, it seems like just a play. They need to go to work, and this is the easiest way of them having.
But I get what he's saying. Also, rites of passage, because most of their lessons are coming through those tender years.
Of course,
yeah, and where they should be learning survival.
Yeah,
what black survival? Know the odds. Know what's against you. No, number one, you got to feel good about yourself. Close your eyes, child. Picture Africa. You got it? What do you see? Bunch of people running around naked in wood and straw huts. I know. That's what you've been educated.
Yeah.
That's not Africa. Yeah, let me show you Africa. Look at these cities, these gorgeous cities. Everybody ain't fighting. Yeah, Rwanda, they going through some things and they brutal about it, but there's some cities, there's many more cities that are about something. So their concept of themselves is like, as the Moors would say, so-called, because, I get so tired of saying so-called black, but I don't want to offend the readers, it's like black is a legal term. So it was invented, created by white people, specifically the Pope, at that time. And so when they invaded Africa with the consent of the Catholic Church, they said, yeah, you can, and turn them into Christians. And so our Ma'afa, that whole Holocaust that we went through, millions of people, that we went that process, and it disturbed Africa to this day, because they took the cream of the crop out, and brought here. That was the Marcus and all them. That bloodline was still over here now.
Yeah, strong, but over here.
Yeah, but not building for self, but they start resistance. It's about resistance, and so you can't resist that which you don't know is holding you down. And so the good white man, look, he gives us jobs. Shouldn't we get our own jobs? When will we do for ourselves self-determination? Are we preparing for self-determination? What is the plan? So when I talk to parents, I'll be like, okay, you might have missed it because you're working hard to take care of your family. Are you pushing your children to be self-determined? Business. You got to go into business. You don't have money, join together with somebody who got some money, and if that ain't enough, bring in some more people. And that's the only way it happens. Like when I heard there were black farmers in Delaware, I was excited. I was super excited. I was like, yes, I got to meet them. It's a bunch of them. They say, yeah, a bunch? I got to meet them. I guess this is open to the public, ain't gonna see it. So,
yeah. Well, that's as a matter of fact. And again, just everything that was spoken so far has been like jewels. I guess we kind of are segueing in that time for the shameless plug part, but
we have to. Well, it's like we talked about it before we went on air. How it'll be easy to just go on, and here we are because I don't want to stop you. I'm just collecting all these jewels, like the brother said.
If you can,
we need to offline talk some more offline and get some consulting from you to make sure that we're building our institution to the best of the of the abilities to make sure we're providing for people in the best way.
You are dead on the track. The issue is, like I said before, 95% of the people are not even thinking about it. And so they say, let me raise my kids, hope it's okay, goodbye. And it's like you're not leaving them the legacy.
FederationInstitute.com, FederationInstitute.com, FederationInstitute.com.
Who's that?
That is Noble Joy Ali, Jerome Graham Bey Institute of Higher Learning.
Yes, sir. Brother Abu, if you can give us some of the just so the people, again, shameless plug, tell us what you got going on, some programs and where the people can reach you at as well.
Okay, I will. Here's your curriculum.
Right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's page 1, page 2.
Okay.
Yes,
for you. And
oh man.
Right. And it's dead on.
This is gold already.
This is dead on.
Okay.
Yeah, we ain't go. Yeah, okay.
FederationInstitute.com.
Yes, sir.
FederationInstitute.com.
Yes, sir.
FederationInstitute.com. Please come get these jewels because we are open for enrollment as of now. This is the enrollment period. We're open from K through 12 right now. This is a foundation that will help basically anybody coming into any school, and especially this school. This is something that's important. Even if you're not going to enroll, please come to the Moor Culture Center, where the Federation Institute is located at, and get some supplemental education, some additional education, and bring your children. Even if you're not going to pull them out of the public school, please come here and get some additional lessons. Because if you leave it to just the public school
and their children.
Oh, of course, yes. You have to bring the children. You can't just leave it to the public school to educate your child and expect the best. All they're gonna breed is cogs to be put into the wheel, and you obviously don't want that for your child, or maybe you do. But if you want more, literally come to the Moor Culture Center.
Yeah.
MoorCultureCenter.com. 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 That's MOOR. Islam, we've gone. I think this is our longest episode, brother.
I talk too much. I'm sorry.
I didn't want to stop you.
It was just perfect.
I didn't want to stop you. We have a lot more to talk and do offline. Maybe not today. It's getting late, but definitely, inshallah, going forward, some other days we'll figure it out. Especially this period in time, we should be getting some more registrations. So we're going to have to tailor some curriculums because essentially we don't have a because it is K through 12, but yet we only have so many people. We have custom tailored curriculums depending on the age, depending on
age group.
Yeah, the age, and not just that, but also the parents. Depending on this is a collaborative effort. This is a situation where it's like we're speaking with the parent. What vision do you have for your child and their education? This is what we want to offer, but also where do you see your child going? And also obviously speaking with the child and depending on where they're at and their level and their degree. So it's custom tailored, and please come visit FederationInstitute.com, MoorCultureCenter.com.
Yes, sir. We got some teas, as you can see. The teas, cold brew, half of them are already gone. So
we got the cold brews.
Yeah,
come see the center. We have the dry herbs to brew your own tea at home. Yeah. MoorCultureCenter.com. Get you some. It's gonna help you out. I promise you. These are herbs that are straight from the motherland. Some of these herbs. This is the Circle 7 cleanse, which features the Kinkaliba leaf.
And you had it hot. Did he have the Circle 7 cleanse?
Yeah,
That's what it is.
That's hot.
Yeah.
I told you it was on the first sip. I said, this is good.
It's a good cleanse for the system. But Kinkaliba leaf is a West African herb that's real potent detox.
When is it going to hit the stores?
Oh, it's in the stores. It's here. It's right here. It's on moorculturecenter.com.
Yeah, I'm saying, but
Other stores.
Other stores.
Oh, yes. What we have. Listen, please donate or just keep buying so we can get the funds to be able to get to that point. We are a small operation. All of our herbs are right in this closet right here. All of our herbs are right there, and we brew it. You know, we brew it out there, but we make the blends
inside the temple, in-house.
Yeah, we make the blends right here. It's all handmade by me essentially at this point. It's a small operation right now, but we're heading for there.
My son is his reading book today is on a young black girl who's 10 years old. All right, and I hope it inspires him, but. The story is about she wanted some money on her own, and they gave her allowance, $1 a week or something like that. And she was concerned about the bees. She had read something about the bees becoming extinct or whatever, and she wanted to help the bees. And so she asked her father and her mother, I want to do some help, to contribute to saving the bees. And they said, well, you got to sell something. And so she decided to sell some kind of lemonade or something. And she sold it in front of the house, and she made a few dollars, a couple of dollars a day. And then they start learning accounting, by the week. And then she took it to the store and said, would you sell some of mine in your store? And he said, well, it's not that easy. You got to have a label, and you got to have the ingredients, and you got to do this and that, blah, blah, blah. She eventually went through the whole thing, through gratis with people just helping her out.
Yeah.
And she got it in the store. And now she's talking about going mass, and she's building this business, and it's growing and growing and growing. That's entrepreneurship. And I'm hoping that the school here, because it's the only one, there is no other school in Delaware that is teaching independent black learning, so-called black learning, and this is the only hope for any child to be educated. And even if they can't come full time, then there's got to be, open times where they can come.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Now, and remember that one jewel that I tried to drop that I got from NYU, it's not tuition. That's going to pay for the school. That's going to pay for the school.
Endowment.
Right. Separate. Because if you do it, you can't be connected to school because it's doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it over to somebody else. I don't know about in terms of your membership, but get more people involved, because y'all's people, not my people, y'all's people like to sit back, and y'all do all the work. Mm-hmm. And if you don't say nothing, they'll be like, there's a broom over there, you can sweep too. It's like, come on, let's participate. Yeah. But that you shouldn't have to do that whole picture, and it's assignments. And I know when I was in the Dar Islamic movement, and we got criticized for it, and just like other groups got criticized, Doc Malachi York, he got blamed for it too. You can't be down unless you're doing something. And that comes from Elijah Muhammad.
That's right.
You're not going to just come here and suck off a tit. You got to do something. If we can take care of you, housing, but you got to go out here and work, and you got to sell these papers. You got so many papers, you got to sell it, a week. Mm-hmm. And it's like from the information I learned from the Nation of Islam, I said, yeah, y'all got it right. Doc Malachi York copied the same forum. We had this super huge community, Ansar Allah. Yeah. And they were like, how do they do that? And when one person tried to expose them, call themselves exposing them, we was like, we really didn't want the public to know, but it ain't nothing to be embarrassed about. If we say you move in here, you come in with a little small suitcase. No, you're not coming in here with your whole house. Mm-hmm. When you don't have it like that. We have quarters for you. You leave, you got to get up a certain time. Breakfast stops at a certain time. Mm-hmm. We take total care for you. You got to be back by a certain time and turn in what you earn that day. Turn it in. Sell. Some people are selling, and they on the subways. We were the first merchants on the subways. Incense and oils on the subway. Mm-hmm. He put out 300 brothers every day go bring back $100. And that's nothing. You're doing it 8 hours. You should be able to get it in the first morning. And you can't go by yourself because we know you.
You need to be held accountable.
Right.
Yeah, you
Right.
you can't go home a weekend visit without somebody going with you. Not your boy either. You know,
Wow.
yeah, this other guy, he can go with you because y'all ain't too cool together. So it's he'll tell on you. You know?
Wow.
So those two movements, the Nation of Islam, the Ansar Allah, they had the key to get more and more people involved. You can't be tit sucking. You know, I hope this ain't live. You know, you got to do more than that. You know, you want to get the knowledge and get this and that. No, you got to give up, give back. You know, in terms of what can your hands and feet, what can you do for us? It's not what can we do for you. What can you do to help us?
That's right.
And so, yes, we need to get this in stores. The brother's working his butt off and doing all these different roles. You know, it's like, shouldn't be. Who wants to volunteer? Who wants to help? Do this. You know, help in this. And so you can back up some and do more of what you need to be doing, whether it be teaching or whatever. And the endowments, we don't trust each other. That's number one. I can't give you $1,200, $100 a month. I can't give you $1,200 a year because I don't know, you might run off with it. That's the thinking.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the smallest when you start. Take a $600 endowment or a $1,200 endowment. That's $50 a month or $100 a month. We paid in advance.
Yeah.
You know, we would like for you to give, you know, lump sums. You know, and this is what it's going toward.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to show you books and records and this and that, blah, blah, blah. We're working on something. But in order for us to build, we got to have, finances.
Islam.
And so, y'all have a newspaper yet? That's probably what you,
Newspaper.
right. And because there is no organization without a newspaper. You're not an organization.
Wow.
You got to have you got to have a communication tool. And it's like,
Yeah, we have this. We have the podcast.
right, and that's the nowadays.
Yeah. It's
You
the
know,
new
you know,
newspaper.
My son is growing up in Generation Alpha. Gen Alpha.
I meant to talk about that. I seen you post about that.
Oh, yeah,
recently.
yeah, and it's
I
like-
never even knew the
it's-
name.
Well,
of it.
I mean, all right. I don't want to take it away, but we're gonna go forever if we keep on going.
Right.
But Abu is definitely part of the family. We definitely gonna have him back. We definitely gonna have some programs here at the center, you know, about furthering education for the community. If we can get through the closing remarks, we'll finish this later. But it's powerful,
Right.
and I soak it up. But of course, I'm in the sergeant arm seat right now, so just try to
Thank
keep
you.
moving along.
I should have did that, Mo. It's tough because I'm just soaking it all in. Real quick, my closing remark. I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna just say because somebody did comment and say read some of them off, and I'm pretty sure they were referencing.
Here, put it.
We
They
referencing
both go
this.
together, actually.
So let me. We already looked at this one. I mean, I can't give the whole game because you got to go to federationinstitute.com, federationinstitute.com, federationinstitute.com. But something that I'm seeing here that is very pertinent is cultivating moral virtues like honesty, integrity, humility, and service. Basically, what you've been saying, Mo. Engaging in spiritual practices like meditation, prayer, and rituals, and practicing discipline, self-awareness, and moral responsibility. These are just some of, developmental tools that, are foundational things that, I mean, this is all ages. And this is something that we have to be teaching to our children and instilling in our children at the earliest
you
age
would
possible.
pick out what is good for 5-6-year-olds.
Yeah.
What's good for 7-8-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's like that information, and how much, and that's just a starter, is a help. It is one
Exactly.
kind of way that it can help say, okay, now I can develop this into that and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Whatever you can use out of it. That's a curriculum, but it's a broad curriculum. It's very broad, and it's like, not for a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old, it's not broad. It's like, okay, that's 2 years.
Yeah, no. When you break this, when you break each of these words down, each of these principles down in depth, this is a lot. It's a lot when you really break it all the way down. Each word, each concept, each principle. It is a lot of information here, and you will get it at here. You'll get it here. Come here.
That's right.
They're asking me to read it. I read a little bit of it. I can't give you the whole game. You got to come here to the Moor Culture Center, 715 North King Street. We need we need the support. We need the help. We're here for the community. We're here for you.
Yes, sir.
There's Lamb. So closing remarks, Baba.
Yeah, I said a lot, and I don't want to go for the second, third win, but I'm very proud of what's going on here. From the day when I first came here, I said, "Did he say cross from the double tree?" What?
Right here.
It's like, and I knew when I walked in the door and I took the tour, I was like, this is self-determination at Kujijakalia. And I'm like, oh, in order to advance oneself, you got to step out there. You got to take that chance, that opportunity. Dare. To win, you got to dare yourself to win. You got to struggle. And so this is a struggling process. There are key elements that you already know, that it takes power, people power, and they got to be involved. It's no, sitting back and just absorbing. It's like, okay, this is your role. This is, we need this, and we need this for, my brother. And so it's spread out. That's the emoji. That's the unity. Because we good from just sucking off the tit and leave. I'm out. I ain't got to do nothing. And so, but this is I knew it from then. I said, they done stepped out here. Nobody else. Well, the Nation of Islam was out there, they're doing their thing and they're struggling. They're struggling.
It's tough.
It's
and that's not easy.
Have anybody heard from the head minister lately?
Yeah, we had him on the show
Muhammad.
not too long ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I was concerned because I hadn't seen him, and I'm like.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a podcast. Yeah, I mean, but yeah.
And so, other than that, who else is looking out for the children? And independent looking out for the children. Other than that, there's a lot of things that, this program, that program. When I brought African Rites of Passage, I said, my original thing, let me go to every center, West Center City, North Side, South Side. I went to all of them. I said, can I get 3 hours for 1 week and with their heads? And they said, every center, community center. No way. You're going to lose my job teaching that African stuff. So they refused it. They refused it. And it's okay, what did you put in this place? Nothing. That's what you're there for. To hold us down. So this is. I have a lot of faith and hope, and it's not even hope. I know it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
it's gonna blow up. Got the right minds there. That's what it takes, and it's like it's standing firm on your square. And it's like, and don't worry about the naysayers. Whatever, you're doing it right. If you got to have classes online, like you say, this is a whole new generation,
new age,
and even then, it's like, did you log in and pay dues? I'm not trying to suck money from you, but we need you.
We need it. We need it. Mo?
As always, anytime we have a guest, I'm so giddy. I'm so happy, and it's bittersweet when our time comes to an end. But as I said before, you got to look out for more activities, more programs here at the Moor Culture Center with Brother Baba. Just so I wanted to kind of highlight some things. I know this brother as a true educator. I've sat in his classes. He remembered me as a patois speaking guy. So, we go back a little bit, and and we were grateful for you instill hope and faith for that. We are grateful. We try to continue to strive, But like you said earlier, it's about community. And that's what we're all about here at 715 North King Street. We're open on Fridays, 7 p.m., open to the public, free. Again, we already plugged it, but we're going to keep on plugging it. Mm-hmm. Go to the website, www.moorculturecenter.com. Purchase some teas. We got literature. We have, an expanding stage where we're going to build the center up, where we're going to have our computer room. So even if you want to donate items, we're open to that as well. So, yes. And that's anything from wood, whatever. We take it all on, but it will get done. So we thank you again as our listening audience. It's a long one tonight, and it was a great one tonight. So with that, I say peace, and I hand it over to the host.
Islam, if you're looking for a school that is, like you said, for us, built by us in this city, it's here. Even though
the only one.
Exactly. There's one.
The only one.
There's ones. I'm going to say the name because it's hot. We were going to talk about Dr. Umar, but we did not tonight. We did not. We're going to talk about our school because this is a school that exists, that is open. It is here. Come visit. Come take a tour. And come help and support and add on and be a part, please. FederationInstitute.com. MoorCultureCenter.com. Peace. Islam. Thank you for joining us.
All right.
I do. Peace.
I'm going to leave you with something that because the reasons, these are the rationales why you're doing it. Why
you want it for the air, or we can close it? Okay.
No.
All right. Peace. We out of here.